arcade!
Now, you might be wondering exactly why that super mutant was turned into superheated gas, and rightfully so, but in order to explain that properly, we're going to have to backtrack a bit and start at the beginning. So, Fallout 3 stands out to me as one of the more memorable RPGs. It completely reimagined the post-apocalyptic genre in an open-world format. It was developed by the much-beloved Bethesda game studios, and it took the original isometric turn-based world and translated it into a different but fully 3D and first-person experience. At its core, Fallout 3 is mostly about freedom and consequence. You start the game in a vault. The problem with the vaults, however, is that many times there are strange goings-on within, usually in the form of experiments that the people have no clue that they're a part of. And your character, in the end, well, not in the end, but in the beginning of the game, has to fight his way tooth and claw out of the vault that he was born in.
Because in Vault
21,
no one ever enters, and no one ever leaves.
Now, when your character steps out from the relative safety of the vault into the harsh and desolate ruins of the Washington, D.C. wasteland, you're dropped headfirst into this massive, open-ended world filled with stories, dangers, and choices to be made. You are never told exactly where to go right off the get-go. You could head down the path ahead of you, and you should find the first town, which is Megaton. However, nothing is sending you that direction. You don't have to go that way. You could decide to head the complete opposite direction and see what's down there. The game doesn't hold your hand and force you down a particular path. You have divergent paths and divergent stories in front of you at every single moment of the game. There is a main storyline involving your missing father, which is the reason you've left the vault, and a water purification project that he was working on that could very well save the wasteland, mainly due to the fact that the Washington, D.C. wasteland has horribly irradiated water. People get sick from it, people die from it, and purified water that people can drink and live off of, is as rare as gold in the Capital Wasteland. But the beauty of Fallout 3 lies in everything you can do outside of that main quest. Even though the main quest is as good as it is, the side quests are memorable, they are engaging, and the characters within are charming and varied. The wasteland itself is teeming with many of these unique side quests and hidden stories. You'll come across bizarre towns like the aforementioned Megaton, which has been built around a undetonated nuclear bomb, which, in classic Fallout choices, you could choose to either defuse and save the town as a hero, or you could blow it up and, face the consequences of your actions. You'll run into intriguing and interesting factions like the Brotherhood of Steel or the enigmatic Enclave. Their ideologies clash in ways that can force you to reflect on what it means to rebuild society. Does it deserve to be rebuilt the way that it was, or should it find its own way forward from there? The world building in Fallout 3 is amazing. It's in a league of its own. Each ruined building and dusty, old, dilapidated home has these silent stories that tell you a bit about what happened there before the bombs fell, after the bombs fell, or a day before you arrived. And it's often relatively subtle. You have to look around, you have to really think about what's been going on there. But oftentimes you can figure it out throughout the course of your exploration. It rewards players that take their time to explore and piece the things together. Combat in Fallout 3 is a mix of real-time shooting and V.A.T.S, which is this assisted targeting system that was introduced way back in the first Fallout, but used quite differently in the 3D version, which is Fallout 3. It completely stops time and allows your character to target specific body parts of the enemy that you'll be attacking. There are also percentages given to each of those body parts. So a head is a much smaller target than a torso. So there's less chance of you to hit that. But if you're feeling lucky, you can try your best to get there. And certain perks will obviously allow you to do that better. Case in point, the sniper perk will let you shoot someone's head from a kilometer away, no problems. The V.A.T system and the combat system in Fallout 3 bridges the gap between the traditional RPG stats and action gameplay, which kind of allows for a mix of a bit more strategy and more real-time moments. The V.A.T gives a little bit of strategy, the real-time moments are if you just decide to play the game as is and use V.A.T sparingly. You're not penalized for that, and you can do whatever you want when it comes to combat. The game also features a pretty cool karma system. It tracks your moral decisions, and this in turn affects how NPCs interact with you and how the world around you perceives you. Now, don't get me wrong, the karma system is still very easily gamified. You could, for example, just get a bajillion purified waters from your robot butlers and proceed to bequeath watery goodness to all the thirsty folk of the Capital Wasteland for positive karma. Evil karma is even more straightforward. You just have to be a lying, cheating, psychopathic mass murderer who turns someone into a pile of questionable green goo just for looking at them funny. But aside from milking the karma system,
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
Are you going to be the heroic knight, the hero who saves everybody? Or are you going to be the villain who is a bit of an arsehole and doesn't really care what people think about them? You could also choose to be someone completely in between, a bit of a ne'er-do-well, or someone who makes decisions that benefit them, not the world around them. Whatever's working at the time. The game very rarely judges you and is just there to see how you would react. The atmosphere is another major strength in the game, from these eerily silent metro tunnels where you feel on edge all the time, or the static-filled crackle of the old-timey music on your Pip-Boy radio. Sometimes, in fact, most of the time, your only companion on these long journeys throughout the wasteland. Fallout 3 nails its tone, absolutely. In this world filled with bleakness and decay, there are also many moments of relatively dark humor, but the lightheartedness adds to the satirical edge that runs throughout the Fallout series. There's also a sense of player agency. Fallout 3 gives players choices that feel like they matter, not just in how the ending is affected, but also how you shape your journey throughout the world. You can resolve the many conflicts that you find through sheer diplomacy, brute force, or a subtle manipulation here and there. You can be the savior, you can be a wanderer, or you can be an absolute tyrant. You could just be someone trying to survive. The game gives you these options and expects you to play around and experience them. While it isn't without its flaws, like the occasional clunky combat mechanics, it is a relatively old game, and iron sights are not a thing in Fallout 3, which can take some people by surprise and take a bit of time to get used to. There are also some dated visuals by today's standards, and the occasional bug here and there, but it doesn't diminish the overall experience of the game in the slightest. Personally, for me, I think Fallout 3 is one of Bethesda's finest RPG experiences, and one of the best games that I've ever played. In the end, to summarize, I think Fallout 3 is a game that sticks with you, not just for its story, for its combat, but for the feeling it gives you as you roam the ruins of once great civilizations, trying to find meaning, morality, and maybe even a little bit of hope among the ashes. But these are my thoughts on Fallout 3, and I hope you enjoyed them. Have a great day further, and thank you for listening.